attorney write a letter and to give them permission to go ahead and get an investigation in my case for what was happening in Roswell, New Mexico, with the corruption that I made reports to. Steve Pierce, in 2 days I received a letter in the mail that I didn't receive till later, and his office said they were not going to help me. Heather Wilson advocates. She's also from the state of New Mexico. She advocates helping Native American. If you look on the web page, you'll find that she advocates Native Americans, the helping of them, and she advocates the Pueblo tribe up there in Mexico. And she also denied me, and she gave me the side shift and shifted me to somebody in Texas to help me. Steve Pierce, I made it known to his office and his representatives, why does he go ahead and put this on his web page? Why does he say he advocates Native Americans and civil rights actions? I says, these are criminal matters. Well, the answer I got, I saw later that they didn't have it. They took that right off the web page, which is very strange to me, but it's very similar to all the rest. I wrote a letter to Senator John McCain. He refused to help me. I see he works with the natives, and I see he also advocates helping the natives also in Arizona. He resides in that area also, and he helps other natives according to what I'm told what his website has to say. He refused to help me. I wrote 2 letters to Senator Obama. One was emailed, the other one was written to him, and we sent, all these letters are sent certified return receipt, so we know they received them. We do a record check on to see whether they received the letters or not. They were received from his office, and also we got the return cards back. Senator Obama did not answer the first letter, and we later on emailed and wrote him another letter. He did not receive or acknowledge that, so I consider it a refusal for any kind of aid or help to be involved in the unlawful drugging of my children. Wrote a letter to Senator Hillary Clinton. I understand that Mr. Clinton went ahead and passed laws to clarify and help the native, but apparently his wife didn't want to help me because she went ahead and shipped me back and said she couldn't help me. She sent a letter back that she could not help me. I wrote 3 letters to President George Bush regarding the problems and the civil rights violations of my children, and also the last of the illegal drugging of my children, and I never received one answer from George Bush. I wrote to a complaint. I wrote a complaint to many different varieties of offices. I wrote, there was a Director Robert Mueller. He went ahead and said he wanted to know from the people. He came out on television publicly stating that he wanted to know of corruption in any area. And this was televised, I believe it was also heard in New Mexico, and I believe it may have been heard in Texas. And I went ahead and gave a lengthy report of complaint, intricate details of all the violations, all the civil rights violations, all the discrimination I suffered, the assassination attacks upon me, the drugging of my children, and I'd like to show a copy of that complaint here. And I demanded that an emergency action be taken place. And if you can read the top detailed, intricate, detailed complaint I filed, and I filed a certification on that, certifying it was the truth.
So you want me to read the re part?
Yes, I can. Yes, you can.
Complaint for wrongful drugging of my Native American children with black-boxed drugs and kidnapping, interstate transport, corruption, racketeering, obstruction of justice, embezzlement by exploitation of federal funding, conspiracy, and conspiracy to commit murder. Chaves County, New Mexico, 5th District Court. Now, you refer to black boxed. Until we met you, I'd never heard of black boxed. Would you give a comment on what that is?
These black box drugs, from what I understood at the time, they were not to be administered. They were dangerous drugs, and these drugs were not supposed to be given to anyone under 25 years of age. Okay, to my understanding. They were giving my children that were under that age, and my oldest daughter was 14. They were giving her 3 different types that were very dangerous. I understand from the expert witness that I conversed with that just one was more than enough to kill your child. It was overwhelming, and my children were raised on just pure herbs, no chemicals, no fillers. They're pure herbs, and their chemistry. I had raised them almost to a complete vegetarian style way of living. I'd watched their health in all ways. They were giving these black box drugs to my boy, and my boy also they were giving him another type. And I listed those all in the complaint, and also my young girl, they refused to go ahead and give me that. They said they didn't know what they were giving her. The child social service representative. And that was Miss Chavez. That was Leanne Chavez of the social services. I do want to elaborate that there were, according to state law, the statutes of state law, if there's supposed to be unsafety in the children, they apprehend the children, according to state law. And there's no unsafety involved in the children and in the home. They're to return the children immediately. Okay, and that was a Candelas Sorella. She was responsible for that. And she went ahead and failed to return my children, even though there was no allegations of any unsafe conditions, any abuse, physical abuse, and that's where that situation was. I have a detailed complaint on that, and it lists all the constitutional violations that were committed to me in the court. And all that complaint was remitted, and I also have records and recordings showing the corruption, the fraud involved in the court system, including with the judge and with testimony given by the Sheriff's Department's representatives, and also with the prosecution of what they did, where they tampered with evidence and they submitted falsified and fraudulent evidence that was brought in from the state of Idaho, where that falsified report was made. Everything was changed and tampered with, and I'll relate later on that a little better. The Attorney General received a copy of the complaint. I have not received any responses from his offices whatsoever. I've remitted documentation, extensive documentation on dates and times and occurrences. The CIA also, I remitted documentation and all those complaints, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and also Department of Interior, and from those 2 offices, I did not receive anything. And no responses, nothing. I later found out that there was corruption involvement in 16 individuals that were arrested on a golf course and dealing business, accepting money for underhanded business, and they were having sex, and they also were gambling. They were doing and using drugs. This was represented, 16 representatives of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And I wondered, this was out of Washington, D.C., but they caught them elsewhere. But like I'm saying, I wondered why they didn't answer, respond. Well, maybe they were busy with other things. They were not taking care of their interior business. I also found out that Heather Wilson also has got some investigation ongoing investigation for corruption. This was another representative of in Congress, okay, in New Mexico. Steve Pierce, they recently found some undergoing corruption. Also, the congressman that I had gone to see for help, they're doing investigation on him regarding some other instances of corruption. I alerted further the U.S. General Accountability Office, because there was a breach of the agreements between New Mexico and their office, and they're failing to follow through with all the laws they're to adhere to. Texas Republican Ciro Rodriguez, I saw him after I was referred by Heather Wilson that she said sent me to him to get some type of relief. He went ahead and made statements in front of several witnesses, and one was Donna Tremmel, and he stated, I asked him if he received my letter of regarding the unlawful drugging of my children. He said, I don't have time to read letters. And that's all response I ever got, nothing further.